أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على الحبيب المصطفى أبي القاسم محمد. وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. وأما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المجيد وفرقانه الحميد وهو أصدق القائلين: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ذلك ومن يعظم شعائر الله فإنها من تقوى القلوب. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Respected scholars, my elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yesterday we were talking about the method that Imam alayhi salam showed us, and how we can apply the tightening and the loosening of the grip and the equilibrium that we must apply in every aspect of our lives. And religion and bringing up our children is no different to that. And we said that do not leave the grip so loose on our children that they fly off out of our hands. And we were talking about trusting them and not trusting them with the iPhones and what have you. And perhaps I didn't make a point clear. I'm not saying we shouldn't trust our children. No, you make that judgment. You have brought the children up. What is right for your children might not be right for my children. What is right for my children might not be right for what's right for your children. You can make that judgment. You can make the judgment whether it's 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, 12 years, 16 years of age that you're happy to hand them an iPhone 6. This is not about trust. This is about playing the role of that kite master, if you remember. Yeah? You need to let go sometimes. You need to loosen the grip so that the kite can fly and flourish. And this is no different to our children. But when we feel that there is a danger, that the kite might just fly off, then at that time Islam tells you tighten your grip. And so our role, both at a community level and at a home level, is to be the kite master with regards to our children. I have 2 questions to ask, and I want to finish the talk about youth because it's an offshoot topic and it's diverted us away from our main topic. So 2 questions to ask, and inshallah we will leave it at that. My first question is to my younger brothers and sisters. For days now you've been hearing me trying to shoulder the responsibility towards you on the community and on your parents. But the truth is, their job is only to create and provide a platform and cultivate an environment where you can flourish. The real responsibility is on your shoulders. There, if we want to percentagize it, they are only 10% responsible probably, or 25% responsible. The vast majority of the responsibility is on your shoulders, because nobody else is going to go to that grave of yours except for you. So I ask you a question. When you realize that I don't understand the meaning of salah, I don't understand the meaning behind each action in salah, why am I doing it? What did you do to go and get answers for those questions? Isn't it high time that we watched one less episode of EastEnders, or watched one less match of my favorite team this month, and went and found some answers to these questions? My second question are to my brothers and sisters of my age. Some of them in this community are my friends. So as a friend, I'm asking you, as our parents did their utmost best to bring us to where we are today. Today, we are in our 30s, we have got married, we've got children. If you're in your 30s and you've not got married yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. But if you're in your 30s and you've got married and you've got children, I ask you a question. Our parents brought us to where we are here today. What have we done? What is the plan that we've got in mind so that our children are one level, one stage better than us? We have planned out their secular lives. Why? Because we've walked their path. We know what grades you need to get into this college. We know what subjects you need to study at college now to get into the best university for medicine. So we have already paved their way towards materialistic success. But we have also walked their path with regards to the mistakes that we have done, the sins that we have indulged in, and the reasons we were pushed towards those sins and that got us involved in those mistakes. What am I doing so that tomorrow when I'm on my deathbed, I could reflect back on my life and I could say, truly, I'm leaving behind a son who is one level better than me, both from a materialistic point of view and from a spiritual and religious point of view. And this is an honest, an open, and a question to my brothers and my sisters who I consider as my friends, and many of them are my friends in this community. And we leave this discussion here. The final group that I want us to discuss, we're talking about the various deviations that have arisen within our communities and that are posing a serious issue and a serious problem for us in today's world. Now, bear in mind the topic and the discussion of yesterday, where we talked that we must not become so complacent and so comfortable in our place, where we start overvaluing and overpricing the possessions that we have and the a'mal that we do, coming to the majalis of Imam al-Hussein, going to the ziyarah of Imam al-Hussein. Let's not sit comfortably and think, I have touched the darih of Imam al-Hussein for the last 15 years now. I'm okay. Nothing is going to happen to me. I'm immune. Remember the story of our friend Shaitan, and how we should not become that overconfident that it turns into arrogance, lest that be the catalyst to our demise and our failure, and the test that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts in front of us. Now, a valid question that you wouldn't be reprimanded for asking is, Hassanain, for the last few nights you've been talking about this deviation, and this deviation, and this is what they say, and this is how they try and enter into our hearts and minds and into the hearts and minds of our youngsters. What is to say that what you are saying is the truth? And that what you are saying is not a deviation in itself. And that these claims that the ulama are making and the instructions from them, these are not deviations. Valid question. In fact, a crucial question that must be asked. Now, I won't answer it today, but if I contract with you that I will ask this question on your behalf, and we will try to answer this question, inshallah, if we get an opportunity before Ashura. If not, certainly the final majlis after the day of Ashura, inshallah. Because it's an important question that needs to be answered. We are saying this is a deviation, this is a deviation, this is a deviation. What's to say that what you are saying is not a deviation in its own right, and that those people are right? Okay? Now, the final group that we want to tackle is a group that's not new to many of us. It's a group that has existed for many, many years, for as long as I can remember at least. And that's a group of people who look at the actions that we do. Every day in Muharram, we come at 7 o'clock, namaz Jamaat. At 7:30, Hassan uncle will tell somebody to sit here and recite Yasin or Surah Al-Rahman. Then after that, somebody will recite Marsiyah. Then the speaker will come, he will recite Majlis. Then somebody will recite eulogy, and you guys will do Matam. They look at this and they say, look, has the time not come that we should expand the message of Imam al-Hussein beyond these four walls? And they're right in what they're saying. Has the time not come that we should take the message of Imam al-Hussein to the outer community, to the greater community, and let them know about Imam al-Hussein? And what they are saying is 100% right. Why don't we then change the format of what we do? Let go of majlis, and instead of majlis, let's have a discussion. Let's have a symposium. Let's do a parliamentary style debate where we can invite people or go to them and what have you. Instead of spending the money on niyaz and on julus, why not spend this money in developing multimedia creations that can invite the wider world? What they are saying is correct. We need to think of innovative ways and new ways that we can take this message of Imam al-Hussein to the outer world. Because Imam al-Hussein does not belong to you and I. He does not belong to sit on this mimbar and just within these four walls. No, his message is a universal message. And we will touch a little bit on that in the Q&A inshallah tomorrow. So what they are saying is right. Where they're going wrong is saying, let's do this instead of. No. Why? We are not against going and holding parliamentary style debates, but let's do it alongside as well as holding the Majlis of Imam al-Hussein. Let's go and create multimedia creations, but alongside eulogizing Imam al-Hussein and doing matam and giving niyaz in the name of Imam al-Hussein and walking in the processions of Imam al-Hussein. What's stopping us from doing them alongside this? Why are you so set in your ways that you are intent on changing the thing that has protected us for the last 14 centuries? You see, if we roll the clock back 14 centuries ago, at the time of the death of Rasulullah himself, within days, the house of Fatima Zahra was attacked. Yes? Some historians write that it was attacked more than once. And it was the final time that the door was burnt and they pushed their way through into the house. It wasn't the first time. After that incident, Fatima Zahra went with taking the hands of Hassan and Hussein and alongside Amir al-Mu'mineen for 3 consecutive nights. And they knocked on each and every door of the companions of Rasulullah. Amir al-Mu'mineen reminded them, do you remember the message of Ghadir? Do you remember the oath that you took in Ghadir? Do you remember what Rasulullah has said with regards to me, to my sons that are here, Hassan and Hussein, towards Fatima al-Zahra? They said, yes, we do. He said, will you stand with me? They said, yes, we will stand with you. 3 days and 3 nights, the companions of Medina said, yes, we will stand with you, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. Amir al-Mu'mineen said, then let me tell you, Rasulullah has ordered me that, oh Ali, if you were to find 40 people who will stand with you, then take your sword out and by force claim what is rightfully yours. Claim what is rightfully yours. For 3 days and 3 nights, Fatima al-Zahra goes around the streets of Medina, knocking on each and every door, reminding people. Amir al-Mu'mineen said to them, do you agree? Yes, we agree. Will you stand with me? Yes, we will stand with you. Okay, tomorrow morning after Fajr Salah, come and stand near my house with your heads shaved. It's a symbol when we go to Hajj, heads shaved, that, oh Allah, we have come to you and for your purpose only. Come to my house with your heads shaved. The first day, 4, 5 or 6 people came. Who? The same people. Who? Salman, Abu Dhar, Miqdad, Bilal, and a couple of other names. Next day, the same thing happens. They go knocking on the doors. The same 4 or 5 or 6 people come. The third day, 5 or 6 people come. Now Amir al-Mu'mineen says, the Hujjah has been completed. Ya Rasulullah, you have told me 40 people stand with me. Remember this word 40, my brothers and sisters, because it is very much relevant to you and I today. When we talk about Imam al-Zamana, we find traditions that tell us if 40 people were ready for Imam al-Zamana, he will reappear. 40 people could not stand with the Ahl al-Bayt alayhim as-salam days after the demise of Rasulullah. This religion, this sect, this beautiful religion of Imam al-Hussein and the way of the Ahl al-Bayt that you and I are sitting and enjoying today, started with a handful of people. 6 people. And if you were to include the Ummahat of Muslimin and the wives of those companions, you could bring the number up to 20. No more than that. The religion, the sect, this school of faith that started with a handful of people, 6 people, 7 people, 20 people, today, if you Google it, it will tell you that there are 350 million Shi'as around the world today. Despite the fact that they faced continuous oppression and suppression by the various rulers that came. They faced continuous prosecution by the various rulers that came. Their properties were usurped, their children were slaughtered. Such a time came at the time of our 7th Holy Imam, the Saadat, the daughters and the sons of Fatima al-Zahra alayhim as-salam. Allahumma salli ala alayhi salam, they were given a gift by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that the heavenly fragrance used to emit out of their bodies. And this continued till the time of our 7th Holy Imam. When Harun al-Abbasi used to identify who these people were, and before Harun, the Umayyad Khalifas used to prosecute these people because they were easily identifiable. There came a time where in the Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi would kill tens of thousands of people and bury them in a single hole in the ground. Sa'adat. There came a time where 60 to 100,000 women used to be left naked completely in roofless prisons in Kufa and in Basra. At that time, people came to Imam alayhi salam. Imam prayed to Allah, "Oh Allah, take this gift away from the daughters and the sons of Fatima Zahra alayhi salam, because it is endangering their lives." And so that fragrance was taken away. Traditions tell us that this gift will return back to the correct people who deserve this when Imam alayhi salam reappears. Another problem appeared. Now they could not identify who holds the love of Muhammad and Al Muhammad in their heart. So how will we identify them and prosecute them? How will we annihilate this message, this love of Muhammad and Al Muhammad? So Harun came up with a new idea. He said, write on the pavement, on the streets, the name of Ali and Fatima, and tell everyone to walk on that and trample on those holy names. And those who hesitate, those who you think are thinking of hesitating, kill them on the spot. They were killing people on assumptions. Two people standing together, I assume you love Ali ibn Abi Talib, I am permitted by the Khalifa, so-called Khalifa of the time, to kill you, and I'm not punishable. Such was the time. Such was the embarrassment that the women folks of the people who hold the love of Ahl al-Bayt had to go through. Embarrassment, prosecution, slaughtering, killing, usurpation of their rights, of their wealth, burning of their books. Despite all this, today, this sect that started with 6 people holds 350 million people. And these are very conservative figures. I think there are much more than that. Much more than that. But 350 million people. I ask you the question, my brothers and sisters. How is that possible? After such oppression that took place, how is it possible the 350 million people today on the face of this earth say, Ashhadu anna aliyan waliyullah? After all this that has happened, people were buried alive in the ground, cemented into the walls, yet this religion has reached us. How? How is it possible? After the mercy of Allah and the guardianship of Imams alayhimus salam, I will tell you 1 or 2 of the reasons why this has reached us intact in our hands today. One of those things is this minbar. This is that tradition that for 14 centuries has remained unchanged. Rasulullah would sit on the minbar, the companions would sit and listen. Amir al-Mu'mineen would sit on the minbar, the companions would sit and listen. Imam al-Hasan, Imam al-Hussein, Imam al-Sadiq, every single Imam. The format that you see here today, right now, it was the same format. Yeah, the chair size might have changed. They might have sat on the ground one day and people around them, or on a small chair, or on a larger pulpit. But the format of the majlis has remained the same for 14 centuries. This basic act of beating our chests in matam has remained the same in its most basic format for the last 14 centuries. It's an act that existed before the time of Islam. Within Islam, Rasulullah ordered the companions and their women folks to do matam on Hamza, to do matam on Ja'far al-Tayyar. So this is an act that has preserved our identity, who we are today. Today, it's easy for you and I to stand and say, let's not have majlis. Let's change this matam and nohas. Why? Because you and I have not had to sacrifice even a fingernail for this message to reach us today. We are sitting here in peace, enjoying the dhikr of Imam al-Hussein, the dhikr of Ahl al-Bayt, but by Allah, me and you have not even sacrificed a fingernail. That's why it's cheap to get rid of. It's cheap to sell off to ideas that we think are good, and they are good, but they should not be implemented instead of. They should be implemented alongside of. I will share with you a story that maybe brings some of this meaning closer to our hearts and minds. But before the story, I want to let us examine the verse of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we started with today. Verse number 32, chapter number 22 of the Holy Quran, Surah Al-Hajj. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? Allah says, ذَلِكَ وَمَنْ يُعَظَّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. Verily, he who respects, who sanctifies and glorifies the signs of Allah, the symbols of Allah, they are what? They are amongst the most pious of hearts. Oh Allah, what are these symbols that you are talking about? That you want us to sanctify, that you want us to respect, to glorify, because they bring us close to you. Allah in the same chapter says, Inna Safa wal Marwa min sha'airillah. The Mount of Safa, the Mount of Marwa, stones, are amongst the symbols of Allah. They are ayatullah. Why, oh Allah? What is so great about them? Allah further on says, He says, وَالْبُدْنَ مِنْ وَجَعَلْنَا الْبُدْنَ مِنْ شَعَائِرِ اللَّهِ. You know the animal at the time of Eid al-Adha. A month ago we all offered a sacrifice. Yes? Those of us who have done Hajj. What do we say? Allah says that animal is a sign of Allah, is a symbol of Allah. Once you have made an intention that I'm going to offer this sheep, this cow, this camel as my sacrifice in the way of Allah, Allah says now this animal has become sha'airullah, ayatullah. Now there are conditions that are laid upon you with respect to that animal. There are certain things that you are permitted to do and not permitted to do with regards to that animal. Why? Because now that animal has become ayatullah, sha'airullah. I will ask you by Allah. A woman, thousands of years ago, a mother of a prophet and the wife of a prophet, ran between two stones, between two mountains. Today Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to you and I want you to follow the sunnah of Hajar alayha salam. I want you to run between these two mountains in respect of Hajar alayha salam, to glorify that great act which you involved in. I want you to always remember that you are following the sunnah of that great woman. I will say to you, running between two mountains is a sign of Allah. But walking in the procession of Imam al-Hussein, who is the master of Hajar and Ismail and Ibrahim, is not a sha'airullah? Is not amongst the signs of Allah? Allah says every act during Hajj is a sign of mine. Hajar al-Aswad is a sign of mine. Throwing the pebbles on the shaitan is a sign of mine. To the people who do not understand what we are doing in Hajj, they look at this and they see these as symbols and as actions that are not worthy of meaning. That they do not understand what is the meaning behind throwing 7 stones on the pillars. What is the meaning behind this? So to the uneducated eye, these are just actions that are meaningless. But Allah says, no, acted upon correctly, these will bring you closer to me. Now, when you ran between Safa and Marwa, Allah says, this will bring you closer to me. You came back to Peterborough. Did you feel you were closer to Allah? If you did not feel you were closer to Allah, is that the fault of Allah's promise? Is that the fault of the ritual that seemingly feels meaningless? Throwing stones, running between two mountains seems meaningless, but Allah says, these are my signs. They should bring you closer to me. If I do not feel that attachment with Allah, is it the fault of the ritual? Or is there a problem with me? Remember Ayatullah Bashir Najafi's comment yesterday. When I go for ziyarah of Imam al-Hussein, if I return back unchanged, is it the fault of Hussein ibn Ali or is it my fault? He is the same Hussein, but am I going to him with the same intention that Hur went with? No. And so when we come to these majalis, they may look like meaningless rituals. But is that because we have not understood the meaning of these rituals? Is it because we lack that connection with Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam? Is it the fault of the majlis, the matam, the azadari, or is there something wrong with me? Question to be asked. Is it the fault of the majlis which has preserved my existence for the last 14 centuries? Or is there something wrong with me? Maybe there is something wrong with my connection with Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Maybe there is a reason why I can't shed tears for Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. And Amir al-Mu'mineen gives the answer in Nahj al-Balagha. Go and find it. Maybe there is a reason that I am not feeling that connection. There is nothing wrong with this majlis. There is nothing wrong with giving niyaz to the ones who are guests of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. I say to you, in Hajj you say, Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. Yes? You say this is a sign of Allah. This is a virtuous act of worshipping of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik is virtuous. But saying Ya Hussein with a broken heart and a tearful eye is not virtuous? Is it not because of Hussein that Labbaik Allahumma labbaik exists today? Go and read what was the intention of Muawiyah and Yazid with regards to this Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. With regards to Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. You must have heard the poetry of Shah Ajmer, of Shah Asta Hussein. What does he say? Haqqaq bina la ilaha asta Hussein. Was it not for the sacrifice of Hussein, la ilaha illallah would not have existed in the way it should have existed. Ya Hussein is not virtuous act. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik is. Maybe there is a way of looking at things. Here, I said we do not appreciate what we have because we have not offered any sacrifices for this gift of Allah that He has bestowed upon us. Shaykh Muhammad Mahdi Al-Ha'iri in his book Ma'ali Sibtain mentions a story. He mentions, and very quickly going through the story so that we can reach the conclusion. He mentions in his story, he says that there came a time in India where there was an old man and an old woman, or a man and a woman, and they had one son of theirs. They had a custom that every year during the days of Muharram, they will erect a majlis on the name of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. And they will make their best attempts to offer the best of niyaz and make the best of arrangements for those who are the guests of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Every year. And it was a format that they ran for decades. Until a time came that the Sultan of that town, the governor of that town changed. And now some people carrying the hatred and the malice towards the Ahl al-Bayt came towards that young Sultan. And they polluted his mind and they said this Fulan person holds gatherings that are against the Sahaba, for example, that are against Islam. And so coming in emotionally charged, he goes and he orders the soldiers to go and reprimand this man, arrest him, take away all his property, and also punish him in such a way, in various ways. And so all the property and all the wealth of that man and woman were taken away from them. The time came that Muharram approached close. As Muharram was approaching, this man and this woman who have been accustomed to holding a majlis on the name of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam every year without fail, for as long as they have remembered, were now troubled. That how will are we going to be deprived of this honor this year? And if we are not going to be deprived of this honor this year, then how will we make our means? How will we find the means of holding this majlis on the name of Imam al-Hussein? While thinking, troubled, the wife of the man looked at him. And she said, "Can I make a suggestion?" He said, "What is that suggestion?" She said, "We have a young son who has now approached his high teens, or maybe he's in the 18s. He's a strong man. And if you take him to the bazaar and sell him as a slave, maybe with the money that we raise from his sale, we can hold whatever we can on the name of Imam al-Hussein." The man came to his son. He said, "What do you think of this proposal?" And the son replied, "Oh father," and I remember the reply of Ismail to his father, "If'al ma tu'mar satajiduni insha'Allahu min as-sabirin." Ismail said to his father Ibrahim, "Do what you feel is right, for you will find me amongst the patient ones." And so the father takes him in a different town so that people do not recognize him. And he sells him in the bazaar with the intention of selling him in the bazaar. As they enter this different town, on their way there, they notice a man coming out of the town as if he is going to the other way. The man approaches them, "Salamu alaykum wa alaykum as-salam." Where are you going? We're going to the town. What is your intention? I want to sell this slave of mine. The man said, how much do you want for him? The father said, he gave a figure. Whatever the figure was, 500 dinars or whatever the figure was. The man took out a bag of coins from his pocket and he handed it to him. I said, I'll buy him off you. He bought this young man in slavery. And him and the new slave, began walking back to the new town. And the father turned around, happy with the coins in his hands, and he began rushing towards his town so that he can start making the preparation to hold the majlis on the name of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. As the young man sees his father in the distance, he begins crying profusely. This owner of his now turns around to him and says to him, young man, why do you cry so profusely? The young man felt that if I said something wrong, then my new owner may feel that maybe he might not be a lover of the Ahlul Bayt, and he might pull water all over our efforts. He says, I'm crying because my master was kind to me. I am crying for I shall miss my kind master. The man said to him, by Allah, neither is he your master, nor were you his slave. Here, go back to your father. He said to him, how do you know he is my father? He said, young man, for the person whom your father sold you for, it is I, the same Hussein, that have bought you. I go to your father and give him my glad tidings that shortly his property will be returned back to him and more. He goes back running to his town. When he knocks on the door, the mother opens the door or the father opens the door, and they are shook. They grab him from his collars and they say, how dare you run away from your new master? This money that we have got from your master is now haram. We cannot hold majlis of Imam al-Hussein with haram money. Go back to your master. He says, no, father, let me explain. He tells him of the story. He says, Mawla Hussein said that shortly your property will be returned back to you. While they were seated there, somebody knocked the door. A person knocked the door and he said to him, the Sultan is calling you. The father goes to the Sultan. The Sultan stands up from his position. He welcomes this father. He greets him with the best of greetings. He says to him, your wealth is being returned back to you, and more what has been lost. And not only that, you hold a majlis under the name of Imam al-Hussein every year? He said, yes, I do. He said, from this day onwards, till the day I leave this throne, or till the day I die, I will give 10,000 dinars, or whatever the currency is of the time, as my contribution to the majlis that you hold on the name of Imam al-Hussein. The father is amazed. What has happened? It transpired in a long story that Imam al-Hussein came in his dream and he threatened him and reprimanded him. And so this majlis of Imam al-Hussein carried on. I tell you, the lesson I want us to take, or the point that I am taking you towards, is that do not ever think that because you and I come to these majlises of Imam al-Hussein, or because me and you beat our chest for Imam al-Hussein, or we cry a few tears for Imam al-Hussein, that now Imam al-Hussein owes us, or we have done a great act in keeping this Azadari alive. No, by Allah. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam has followers, has lovers who are prepared to sell their children, not for Imam al-Hussein, for the majlis of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Do not ever think that we are doing a favor on the Ahl al-Bayt by coming here. No, by Allah. If we go and turn the pages of our tradition, of books of tradition, you will come across such a great book amongst us, named as Kamil al-Ziyarat by Ibn Qawlaway, who is the student of Al-Kulayni rahmatullahi alayhi, the author of Al-Kafi al-Sharif. When great ayatullahs and ulama such as Shaykh Ayatullah al-Uzma al-Shaykh Wahid al-Khurasani quote from his book, they say rahmatullahi alayhi, that great alim Wahid al-Khurasani, who is probably amongst, if not the most learned person on the face of this earth with regards to the ulum of Ahl al-Bayt, and if not the most, then amongst the few who are ranked right up there. When he talks about these ulama, he says rahmatullah alayh. How should you and I approach these kind of ulama then? Ibn Qawlaway narrates tens of traditions in the book. of Kamil al-Ziyarat, where Imams alayhimus salam tell us that every creature on the face of this earth cries for Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. From the birds, to the cows, to the fishes in the seas, to the trees that we walk past, Imams alayhimus salam say they cry for Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Imam al-Zamana in Ziyarat al-Nahiya mentions this line as well. He says, "O salams be unto you, O my grandfather Hussein. Bakatka as-sama'u wa sukkanuha wal biharu wa hitanuha." O grandfather Hussein, you are that individual for whom the skies and the dwellers of the skies have cried for. O grandfather Hussein, for you Hur al-Ain have cried. O grandfather Hussein, for you the oceans and the dwellers of the oceans have cried. I ask you by Allah, the fish knows the value of Imam al-Hussein, but you and I do not know the value of Imam al-Hussein. The insects in this world know the value of Imam al-Hussein. Why? Because they are able to connect with Imam al-Hussein. They understand that their existence is from Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Remember, a few nights ago, we were talking about a deviant group amongst us that revert back to the tradition of Rasulullah at the time of the birth of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, where Rasulullah made a promise and Fatima al-Zahra made a dua. For who? For that community of believers who will be born, whom Allah will choose to carry the love of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, whose elders will cry for Imam al-Hussein, whose women folks will cry for the women folks of Imam al-Hussein. Remember that tradition? With that tradition, and these traditions that talk about every single creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala crying for Imam al-Hussein. Lady Zainab in her khutbah in Kufa says to the Kufans, are you surprised that the sky is raining blood? That when you lift a stone, that fresh blood is underneath it? Are you surprised after what you have done? So the skies cry for Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Taking these two traditions and these two ideas, the Urdu poet so beautifully and so poetically puts this love of Imam al-Hussein and the purpose behind our existence and how we should approach this azadar of Imam al-Hussein in such beautiful words. And I will translate as much as I can, but forgive me if I don't do a complete translation. He says, "Tarteeb zahuri mein hai jo char anasar." He's talking about, he says, you know everything in physical existence that we know about. At its elementary form, it has come about as a result of 4 elementary things: water, air, soil, and fire. He says, "Tarteeb zahuri mein hai jo char anasir, wo hai mere mola ke azadar anasir. हाँ करता हूँ तस्लीम मैं 100 बार अनासिर, खुद करते हैं इस बात का इकरार अनासिर कि ना आग न पानी न मिट्टी न हवा से हम खल्क हुए हैं फातिमा ज़हरा की दुआ से." He says that, you know, when you read the traditions of the creation of Adam, that these 4 elements were used to bring Adam's clay into existence. He says, no, if you look deeper with the eyes of the love for Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, you will realize that greater than our physical existence, we have come about as a result of the dua of Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. Then he says, what is the right of each one of these elements with regards to the azadari of Imam al-Hussein? He says, "Pani gham Hussein mein behne ka hai sabab. Pani gham Hussein mein behne ka hai sabab. करते हैं लोग आग पर मातम बसत अदब, नोहों की सदाओं से हवाएं हैं मुस्तरब, फर्शे अजाब खाक पे बिछता है रोज और शब, चारों पे है राज तो शहे मशरक़ैन का, दर असल जिंदगी पे है कब्जा हुसैन का." He says, what else are these tears for except to be shed for Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam? What else? Can we not take heed and lessons from those who stand and do the matam of Imam al-Hussein on burning coals? Can we not hear the vibrations of the air when the Noha Khan stands and eulogizes Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam? Can we not feel the fire of love on our chest when we beat our chest for Imam al-Hussein? And I will end with these last 4 couplets of his poetry. He says, "Ki zarf ka hamil hai azadar ka sina." What a pure place that Allah has given to the love of Imam al-Hussein in the heart of the azadar. na bughz, na ilhad, na oham, na kina, a place of purity. Kis zarf ka hamil hai azadar ka sina, na bughz, na ilhad, na oham, na kina, सीने में बसा है कहीं करबल का मदीना, इस दिल शब्बीर का दुश्मन यहाँ रह पाए कभी ना, सीने पे ये मातम की जो तहरीक चली है, सीने में है दिल, दिल में हुसैन इब्न अली है. But you and I do not value this. Why? Because maybe we were born in a house that already brought us here from the age of 2. Maybe because we have not sacrificed a single fingernail for Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. That maybe we do not value what we have. It has become cheap for us to say, Ya Hussein is cheap. But you know who was stopped from saying Ya Hussein? That little Ruqayya, that little Sakina. For every time she would say Ya Hussein, oh Father Hussein, she will be met with Islam. Today it's cheap for you and I to dismiss walking in the procession of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. But you know who was stopped from propagating the message of Imam al-Hussein? You know who was the initiator of the Azadari and the initiation of propagating the message of Imam al-Hussein? Zainab al-Kubra salamullah. Today, we take it for granted that I beat my chest. What is the meaning of this meaningless ritual? But this is the same chest that when I beat, I say to the Yazid of this time, that you thought you annihilated my Mawla Hussein 14 centuries ago? No, by Allah, I beat my chest. So today, 14 centuries later, I tell you that no, Hussein is more alive today than he has ever been. Ever been. How easily do we dismiss this majalis of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam? Ask those who were burnt alive for sitting on these pulpits and saying the words of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Ask those today, in this century, in this right here, right now, on this night, who are in fear of the authorities in their countries, and they still hold the Azadari of Imam al-Hussein. In this format, in this format of a member and somebody sitting and listening. But me and you probably will never appreciate this. Yes, by Allah, we have not done justice to the masa'ib of the Ahl al-Bayt over the last few nights, because we have tried to cram so much in to the discussion. And inshallah, as the nights unfold, we will try and spend more time on the masa'ib of the Ahl al-Bayt alayhimus salam. On this night, we remember two princes who are the sons of that princess of the world, Zainab al-Kubra salamullahi alayha. Historians tell us that if 3 personalities were present in Karbala in 61 Hijrah, then maybe the face of Karbala would have been different today. Who are those 3? Muslim ibn Aqil, Ja'far al-Tayyar, Abdullah bin Ja'far al-Tayyar, the husband of Lady Zainab salamullahi alayha, and Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. If these young men who were in their 30s were present in Karbala, then maybe the shape of Karbala would have been different. It was the will and the decree of Allah that these 3 were not supposed to be together in Karbala. Abdullah bin Ja'far al-Tayyar was ill in Medina when Imam alayhi salam departed from Medina. Some historians say that it is on their departure that he gave his 2 sons, Aun and Muhammad, to Lady Zainab as his offer of sacrifice to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Some say no, he came in his ill state to Makkah as Imam was leaving Makkah, and he offered his sons to Lady Zainab salamullahi alayha. But the 2 sons, these young children of Abdullah and Lady Zainab salamullahi alayhim, on the night of Ashura, they were being given a private lesson by Lady Zainab salamullahi alayha. All the companions used to take turns on the night of Ashura of guarding the tents. At the time when the turn of Imam al-Hussein was, as he was walking around, being guardian to the tents, as a guard to the tents, he came across different tents of the Ahl al-Bayt. Each mother grabbed hold of her children and she was telling them, "Oh son Qasim, tomorrow do not hold back on your Mawla Hussein. Ali Akbar, tomorrow do not let the mothers mock me and say that Layla held her son more dear than our sons. When he goes past the tent of Lady Zainab, he finds Lady Zainab got hold of her two sons, Aun and Muhammad. And she's saying to them, "Oh Aun, oh Muhammad, do you recognize who you are? You are the grandchildren of Ja'far-e-Tayyar. You are the grandchildren of Haydar-e-Karrar. You are the sons of Zainab al-Kubra. Tomorrow the women folks of the camp will be looking upon me to see what sort of sacrifice that Zainab will offer. Do not hold back on your Mawla Hussein, on your uncle Hussein." They said to her, "Oh mother, by Allah, we will make you proud of us. You just get us permission from our Mawla Hussein." The day of Ashura came. No one ever came to Imam al-Hussein asking for permission to go to the battlefield, and Imam gave him permission from the first go. Likewise, the children of Lady Zainab would keep coming repeatedly, and Imam will turn them back. Finally, Lady Zainab came into the tent of Imam al-Hussein holding the hand of Aun and Muhammad. Imam recognized why she has come. He succumbs to the demand or the question of Lady Zainab, and he allows them to go. Imam and Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas prepare the two young princes. They ascend them on the horses. Now they rush towards the enemies. Muhammad is fighting the right flank. Aun is fighting the left flank. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas is guiding them. I will say, "Oh Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, how did you find the battle of your students?" He may reply that by Allah, they were the most valiant of warriors. They reached to such a stage that they came so close to the tent of Umar ibn Sa'd. When finally Umar ibn Sa'd comes out and he says to his camp, he says, "Oh, woe be unto you, do you recognize who you are fighting? These are the grandsons of Haydar-e-Karrar. These are the grandsons of Ja'far-e-Tayyar. Do not fight them like this. Fight them as one man." And when they all launched a unanimous attack, how long could two children who have been thirsty for so long fight for? Eventually they fall on the ground. When the news reaches the tents, Lady Zainab goes into sujood, shukran lillah. History does not tell us that Zainab cried for Aun and Muhammad on the day of Ashura. At the time when Yazid wanted to set the camp of Imam al-Hussein free, his Lady Zainab demanded that we want to erect the first majlis for Imam al-Hussein. The heads of the shuhada were brought. Lady Zainab rushed and grabbed hold of the head of Imam al-Hussein. Lady Kulthum grabbed the head of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. Each and every martyr's head was taken by his family members, but two heads remained. The soldiers talked between themselves that maybe these two were servants and there is nobody here for them. Lady Zainab said, "No, by Allah, their mother is alive, but in the presence of Hussein, I will not cry for my sons." But history tells us there came a time when Zainab remembered her sons when she returned back to Medina, and she eventually went back to the house of Abdullah. She entered the house and she entered that room where two musallas were laid. She sat on the ground and she says, "Oh son Aun, oh son Muhammad, by Allah, you have made your mother proud." ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون. Oh Allah, we ask you for the sake of Muhammad and Al Muhammad. Oh Allah, we ask you for the sake of these tears that flow from our eyes. Oh Allah, we ask you to forgive our sins, the sins of our parents. Oh Allah, we ask you to resurrect us alongside Muhammad and Al Muhammad. Oh Allah, we ask you to hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time, Imam Mahdi.